MMA rants and raves, Edgar versus Ortega in the UFC featherweight division. Guys, let's talk about this fight. Well, it just seems like every time one guy gets healthy, the other guy gets hurt. Then one guy gets hurt, the other guy gets healthy. So, I mean, this fight with Edgar and Holloway just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So here we go, he's fighting Ortega. When they say styles make fights, I mean, that certainly applies to this particular fight because Ortega has been unstoppable. I mean, the guy's 13-0. He's only 26 years old, and his ground game just looks incredible. I mean, he has so many submission wins. He's also displayed power. Very composed, relaxed, and that also helps his cardio, which also looks really good. So he looks like a really solid guy, and now he's fighting world-class competition in a guy like Frankie Edgar. Now, I spoke about Frankie Edgar in my last prediction, and, you know, what really stands out looking at all his fights, the guy's chin is legendary. I mean, he's been in such wars so many times where he looked like he was done, and somehow he's able to come back, he's able to recover. His recovery ability is among the best I've ever seen. I was really thinking, you know, Ortega looks like he can just about beat anybody with the way he's fighting and what he brings as a fighter. And I'm kind of thinking that it's hard to really imagine what Ortega can do on the ground against Edgar. If you look at Edgar's career, he hasn't been out-wrestled in almost 10 years. He's actually the better wrestler when he fights in most of his fights. The only guys that were able to beat him were guys that threw harder, more significant strikes. Like the judges basically saw that he got hit with harder strikes. The ones against Aldo and Ben Henderson. I mean, as a matter of fact, I thought he won at least one of those fights. The first one I thought he won. The second one was also very close. But then again, they were close fights. So it's really hard to say, well, you know, that's how he could be stopped because that's just too close. And then the ones against Aldo, well, Aldo is the power striker. Aldo has that legendary takedown defense. So styles make fights. That's a fight that Edgar has trouble with. He's fighting a higher power striker that lands more significant shots than he can land against him. That's how Aldo had success. Now, if you look at Ortega, I mean, Ortega has power. The thing is, he goes to his ground game because that's where he's had the most success. So this is a tough fight to call because I really don't know what Ortega's going to do here. I mean, is he going to try to deal with Edgar on the ground? This is a guy who's never been submitted. He hasn't been out-wrestled in almost 10 years. So it makes you wonder what Ortega can do on the ground against Edgar. Now, will Ortega have a secret weapon, which is his striking? He has knockout power. He's shown that. He's stopped tough guys with his striking. That remains to be seen. I don't know. But if you look at Ortega's fighting style and the way he fights, in all his fights so far, it's his ground game. Now, I have to ask you, how many guys have had success against Edgar with their ground game? The last guy that did was Gray Maynard almost 10 years ago. Edgar has changed since then. He's been the dominant wrestler. And now he's a featherweight, which makes him a bigger guy, despite the fact that he is bigger at featherweight. Against opponents, when he fought at lightweight, he's still going to be the smaller guy. Ortega is going to be taller and have a reach advantage. Now, will this help him in the striking? It's hard to say because we haven't seen enough of Ortega's striking to know if he can just stand and trade with Frankie Edgar. The ground game, if it goes there, likely will be a chess match. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen here. You have a guy like Ortega who's never been stopped. He's 13-0. Edgar has never been finished, which I have to say is remarkable. Like I said, his chin is legendary. It's just unbelievable. The only difference, obviously, here is that Ortega's a much younger guy. He's only 26. He's never been stopped. He doesn't have that much wear on him. So he is a fresher guy coming in there. Edgar, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. He has a lot of wear and tear. And he is an older fighter. He's shown that the wear and tear hasn't caught up with the experience. He's still fighting on a high level. However, I think styles make fights. I mean, I'm just trying to imagine this fight where Ortega is going to have a decisive advantage. I don't see it on the ground. I mean, to me, that looks like a stalemate. And as far as standing up, I think Edgar is a more experienced striker, used it a lot more, and was able to establish victories over his fights, especially when he fought BJ Penn. You can see It was the footwork and the striking and the speed that really were a factor there. And recently Edgar is displaying more power, so he may even be getting better at this stage in his career. I mean, it's a tough one to call. So I'm going to go with a prediction here. I have Edgar to win this fight. I would like to know what you think about the fight. Please leave your comments. Please subscribe. Please like up this video. And thank you for tuning in.